Hello all. Thank you for stopping by and checking out my video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. I know this one's a little long, but please stay till the end. I think it's important to show how gross the propaganda gets in this video. And if this video disgusts you as much as it does me, please share. I think we need to get the word out on what's really going on this channel now. And here we go.
Jay, I will let you continue here in a sec, but it's very funny to me that, like, when you think of how scrutinized Donald Trump's entire existence has been, every business relationship he's ever had, every political engagement he's ever had, and now this, it kind of is remarkable how clean he ends up coming out of everything. How clean he ends up coming out of everything. They couldn't get anything on his business other than, oh, he lied to get a loan that no one complained about other than the state of New York. I don't know. I'm just digressing here. But yeah, it's funny here, even on this, you know, he could have had something like Bill Gates where it's not necessarily criminal, but it's like highly embarrassing. And they don't even have that, it seems. And they don't even have that, it seems.
That Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who is obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence.
Who are the villains of this story? Because that is what's driving a lot of this. They want to see the list. They want to see who was sleeping with underage girls. And you gave me a very surprising answer.
I do not victim shame or anything like that, because what I'm trying to do is expose the genuine victims in all of this. And there are genuine victims. And so those victims are the people who were recruited by adults. They were adults at the time. Virginia Giuffre, Haley Robson, and a couple of others. And yet that's the backwardness in all of this. They have been projected as the heroes of the story, when in fact they were the villains.
I interview people for jobs that were professional people for professional things, and I'm not aware of anyone aside from who clearly was a masseuse aged 17, but that's, you know, at least that's how far we know that I can think of that fulfilled any professional capacity for Jeffery.
And they have admitted that they went out of their way to target, groom, and recruit underage girls. Yet the media, because that does not fit the narrative, they refuse to cover that. They have just canonized these people. And anybody who criticizes them is called a victim shamer.
That there are real victims, these underage girls that were recruited, they were dressed up in fancy clothes and makeup, and they were told to lie about their age. Apparently, it sounds like Jeffrey Epstein asked if they were over 18. Not saying what Jeffrey Epstein was doing is okay, by the way. That's gross. That I just don't think that's even up for debate. Like, Jeffrey Epstein's a creep, a crook, a fraudster. And
but that's
I want
never
to get
really
into
been
that.
up for debate.
That's never been up for debate.
Everything else that comes with it. Everything else that comes with it.
But not only was he a creep and a pedophile, which there has been a yearning in the right-wing base that there has been some pedophilic activity that has not been held accountable, As you know, that has been a legitimate concern for over a decade.
How did this happen, and who else was involved is really the central question.
That he probably was an intelligence asset, either for the American government or for MI6 or for the Saudis or for Mossad or whatever, right?
That Virginia Giuffre, I believe I'm saying her name right, is implicated. The police know it, that she was the one that was going out grooming these young women. And then that begs the question, what was Ghislaine Maxwell doing? Was she aware that these underage women were getting recruited?
Well, that's the travesty in all of this, is that the media just refused to report the truth because it doesn't fit the narrative. And it was Virginia who were going out of their way to find schoolgirls to make money. It was all financially motivated. They knew what they were doing. I have interviewed the mother of one of Virginia's victims. Sadly, was groomed by Virginia, put on this life of prostitution, and eventually she was found dead in a hotel room, allegedly of a drug overdose. And so Virginia destroyed a lot of lives. Virginia destroyed a lot of lives. But at the time, the Me Too mantra was believe all women. And the media were very adamant that they didn't want to deviate from that whatsoever. Virginia's story was newsworthy. It was brilliant for journalists, because here she is saying that she'd slept with foreign presidents, that she'd slept with a Prince of England, and just making all of these wild headline-grabbing, sensational claims. So if you want to look at the villains in this story, it is Virginia, it's Haley Robson, and a couple of others. And now Epstein did take a lie detector test, that he was telling the truth, that he didn't know that they were underage. He didn't know that they were underage.
Do you believe that Virginia committed suicide? I know her dad has said that he doesn't think that that was the case.
Yeah, I think she likely did. The reason that I believe that is because her web of lies was so, she'd stacked a lie upon a lie upon a lie. And I think it was slowly beginning to collapse, because she was about to be deposed for the very first time. She was going to have her very first court appearance. She's always settled out of court. So with Alan Dershowitz, she settled out of court, not financially, but she admitted that that she was mistaken in accusing him. No, she wasn't mistaken. She lied. And the judge, 2 weeks before she committed suicide, had ruled that no, whatever happens, you must come into court and testify. Now, while she's in the courtroom, would have grilled her, and I know this for a fact because I helped them with certain information. There's a photograph of Rena Road leaving the courtroom with a 200-page report that I did, just compiling all of Virginia's lies with the evidence. What they were prepared to do was to use that as an opportunity to finally, under oath, force Virginia to admit the truth. And she would have been shown all of this evidence. You also, at the same time, had her marriage breakdown. Her kids were taken away from her, which is very rare. You know, you don't often see children being taken away from the mother.
He's a billionaire, or allegedly. So there's this populist thing, which is like, oh, if you have money, you can buy your way out of no matter what evil actions that you are in.
And the mother losing custody. So her life was sort of caving in.
I think a strong narrative, but so bigger picture, I think an issue I want us to talk about when people do push the idea that there's not as much here as people thought. It's not as much here as people thought. It's kind of a more mundane guy who had relations with underage girls, got caught, and then he also knew a lot of people, but there's not a bigger conspiracy or bigger behind the scenes thing.
But there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part.
Virginia lived an incredibly traumatic life since childhood, meeting Jeffery at the age of 16 and staying under his control until the age of 19. She admits to doing horrific things, but in the name of survival. After being groomed and traumatized her whole life, there is a difference between surviving and doing unthinkable things for joy because you have the money and power to do so. The bravery and fear that it took for Virginia to speak up is something I hope none of us ever have to face. If you would like to know more about Virginia's story, I highly recommend her book, Nobody's Girl. You better keep asking questions because it's the only thing that keeps us free. Charlie Kirk. Now put his show to rest, bring back all of his original content, and get your own channel. This is Charlie's legacy you are messing with.